Watch. Then he goes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope everybody is having a fantastic little day or a big day, or whatever day you have, wherever you are in the world. How's everybody doing? I have with me here several guests, including Elle. Elle, what's up? How you doing?
Doing well, blessed, very blessed, just very busy. And
Nice.
some very exciting things have been going on, as some of you can probably figure out.
Yes. I did forget your name is actually W now, so you should probably point that out. And we also have Apostate of Allah here. Apostate of Allah, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Praise God. Glad to be here.
Praise God. And that's it. How's everybody else doing?
I just like to point out how disturbing it is. What kind of world do we live in where David Wood and AP show up to the live stream on time and the two other people don't?
That is correct.
How'd that even work?
I was actually here in the studio 2 minutes before the live stream was supposed to start. David was not here. He arrived, I think
right
he actually arrived
at 9:30.
Okay, yeah, that's true. He arrived right on time.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. That's why they call me David Right on Time Wood.
Yeah. Elle and Apostate of Allah arrived much later, which is very, very unbecoming. You're not supposed to do that. We are supposed to be late always.
It's making me think maybe Muhammad was right about women.
But there's one full brain here on the screen.
It's really messed up. What's wrong with you? Anyway, yeah, so how's everybody else doing? What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? I can confirm AP is telling the truth. Forgive the ladies, Mr. Winger. Yeah, Mike, you should be more understanding. He forgot Mike Winger. Salam al-Masih, everyone. God bless you all. Indeed. The late stream was late. Indeed, that's true. Spectacular guests, said Zane. Based. Zane thinks the guests are spectacular, but nothing to say about the hosts. Nothing at all to say about the hosts.
Not a word.
Forget about the hosts. Who cares about the hosts, right? It's
just all about once again, yeah. They forgot about the hosts.
Yeah, forgot about hosts. All right, so we are here to discuss a very, very disturbing incident that happened very recently in Dearborn. But before we discuss that, I want to point out that there is one other thing happening in Dearborn right now, which is that's tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, Jake Lang is supposed to go there. And right now, I'm looking at news reports, and Dearborn City is on edge, and police and other authorities in the city invite everyone to not go to this rally that Jake Lang is planning there, and are telling all Muslim residents and others to not engage and to stay away and all that. It's very, very interesting what is happening there. Dearborn has become a big center of attention in the nation, not for good reasons. Jake Lang is hosting something called a Crusader March or something like that, which I think honestly is a little bit dumb. But good luck to him, and let's see what the outcome of that will be. What do you guys think about that? Elle, you are familiar with it, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Jake Lang. I've definitely seen some of the posts that have gone around of things that he's done. I think that his approach is likely far different from all of our approaches. But I have seen some media, and I do think it's interesting, as somebody pointed out on X, that the Dearborn government is saying, everybody stay inside for this march, but for the at least three marches that happened during Ashura for the Shia Muslims, I didn't see anything like that from Dearborn government saying, don't show up, don't come. And there were 40-something thousand Shia Muslims that attended at least two of the Ashura marches. And one of them was a little bit smaller. I'm not sure how many were at the first one this year. But I do find that very interesting, the support from the government for the Islamic events as opposed to for this event.
Yeah. People are talking about Jake Lang, and some people trust him. I honestly, after the things that I've seen him do in public and the things that he said in public, I cannot put any trust behind him, and I would also caution others when it comes to Jake Lang. He is. It's not just about Islam and about Christ, about Christianity to him. It is about further race politics and provocation and all that. And going there and doing this weird crusader march that is actually all about race is kind of a weird, disgusting thing. That's not what the Crusades were about. And I also find it bad that he's just looking for a cheap provocation. I mean, if you want to do provocation, you should probably do something like, comment on the Al Zut, or, draw a Muhammad cartoon or something like that, It's like, exactly, AP says low-key Joker. That's right. We do need some provocation. I mean, I'm a big fan of provocation if it's done right. I'm a big fan of saying or doing things that are perceived as offensive, but that are actually quite normal expressions of opinion and all that. But just going there to pose and appropriate certain elements like crusades and things like that in order to deliberately invite fighting and all that is just I can't support that. So I can't support that kind of stuff. Let's see. Never heard of Jake Lang. You are lucky. Isn't he also a Groyper? I mean, I don't know if he is a Groyper, but he has a lot in common with Groyper politics and all that.
No, I was reading about him right now because I'd only seen him a couple times when he was in a fight or got punched or something like that. So I was looking him up now. He's actually like half Jewish or something, and had a bar mitzvah when he was little. But he's turned out to be very anti-Semitic, apparently. Has renounced all ties, has posted videos of himself burning the Talmud and the Quran. But he says he still gets criticized by Nick Fuentes and others for having Jewish heritage. Like, he can't even. He's like, I hate this. I burn the Talmud. I hate Israel. I hate all this stuff. They're like, hey, but you're still Jewish.
Well, he has also said stuff like, if you don't resist, if you don't do something now, your children will all be black, and stuff like that.
No, I'm reading the quotes right now. White Christian men are not going to sit around while you turn our children into a bunch of N-word lovers. Has stated, white people in America, you will be replaced, and your children will be black Muslims if you don't stand up now.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that's going to maybe be controversial. I don't know how.
We don't say controversial.
If you say you agree with everything Jake Lang said.
No, actually quite the opposite.
No.
I would rather have the Ashura Mosque than have somebody claim the name of Christ and have a march, and that's the kind of stuff that he propagates. teaching evil, racist things. Like, I would literally rather have the 40,000 Muslims than somebody blaspheming the name of Christ like that in the streets.
All right, now we have to get rid of one of our guests. Thank you for coming.
You heard it here. Ex-Muslim wants more mosques in America.
All right. So, Dearborn. Dearborn is very important, however. We have the mayor who supports Islamist stuff. You have Islam taking over much of policy, much of politics, and all that. I generally think that you shouldn't be allowing such a thing to happen in your nation anywhere. And by which I'm not saying you should respond with violence or anything, but you should not allow stuff like that to happen in the first place, and then you wouldn't have to deal with the consequences, right? And then if you do allow it to happen, you should point out how bad it is, and we do something about it in proper civilized ways, not in uncivilized, terrible, and pretty dark, and also unchristian ways, I would say. So that's that. Anyway, where do I begin? You guys recently went to Gaza. You went to Dearborn recently, and
What's the difference?
yeah. Jack Ray gifted 1 Apostate Prophet membership. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate it very much, Jack Ray, for expanding the cult. Brother, I have doubts, said Ryan Gowsing. Do I have that on my soundboard? Brother, I have doubts. No, what? I can't even play it because my screen is not being shared. Very, very amateur stuff.
Yep.
Here, I just want to share the sound here.
Brother, I have doubts. What doubts, man?
I haven't played this in a long time. Jack Ray, David. Oh yeah, that's Mike Winger's friend Wood. That's correct. Ida Rugosen said, "Hello, lovely people. Hope you're doing good. God bless you." Ida, hope you're good too, and hope you're doing well too. God bless you. Okay, finally getting back to the topic. I'll take a few more super chats later on. All the thousands of super chats, I'll get back to them. So, you recently went to Dearborn. Why did you guys go to Dearborn?
It was an amazing opportunity to share the gospel with Muslims that were not only gathered together in one city as they normally are, quite a high population in Dearborn, Detroit, Hamtramck, or however that's pronounced, and the surrounding areas, Dearborn Heights, for example. But actually gathered together on the streets. And so as a Christian, I'm now
sorry.
hearing myself.
Continue.
Okay.
No, continue.
So as a Christian, I believe it's very important to share the gospel. I believe that salvation comes through Christ alone, and that everyone needs him, because the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life through Christ Jesus our Lord. So my goal is to seek the Lord and share the Lord, who is the truth. And I thought that would be an amazing opportunity to do so while everyone is gathered together and marching. And so I was hoping to gather together a bunch of other Christians to go with. And thankfully, Apostate of Allah was able to. So why did you go, Apostate of Allah?
Because it was an awesome opportunity. Like Ashura is a month. We have a bunch of Shia that come from not just around the country, but there's Shia we saw that came from Saudi Arabia. So there were Shia from around the world there, where other than maybe us, they would probably have never even heard the gospel in their lives. And it's like we're going into their world, sharing the gospel. Just think about that for a moment, and we were able to go ahead and share the gospel in the parks. And right now I'm thinking how it was. Dearborn, Michigan did not feel like we were in the United States of America. It felt like we took a plane and traveled to the Middle East. It's like we took a missionary trip there, and we went to a Muslim nation, and as missionaries sent with with NAM out there to share the gospel with the lost people group. But that was a city here in the United States that they do not know the gospel. My desire is to share the gospel, is to evangelize to Muslims, is to be able to expose Islam and just enter into their lives. But I think with me, with the Shia Islam, I didn't know much about Shia Islam. So when I walked in there and I started talking with the Shia, I just went in there as I am sharing the gospel with them. I got to learn, which was pretty cool because their march was called the March of Justice. And we were able to connect the March of Justice with the justice of God and how they were mourning a man, Hussein, who died 1400 years ago. But we were able to connect that to a man who died 2000 years ago and just jump in with the whole gospel conversation. And just hearing their, at least from my side, I don't know if Elle experienced the same thing, is like some of their responses were different when it comes to why would Jesus die for sins. I don't hear that so much from the Sunnis. So that was a very common question that I was able to get them. So they would be like, okay, if Jesus died for sins, why is there sins and evil still happening around the world? And I would tell them Jesus did not, like, whatever's going on around us here, that's the least of our problems. Jesus came to die for our biggest problem, our relationship with him. And the amount of light bulbs that I would see like turn on inside their brains, and they'll be like, oh, like they didn't hear like that before. That is why I went. I went there to see the light bulbs, wondering if they've ever even heard the gospel. Because you remember, Elle, when we went to the park one day, how the park, like the only ones that were not Muslim were the small people with their tables, and they're evangelizing to the Muslim. Other than that, you see hijabis as far as the eye can see, except for that one day when there was a little worship service, and I felt like there was this little glimmer of light, and that's when I fell in love with Dearborn. And I did not want to leave when I was there.
It is kind of crazy. It doesn't feel like a place in America. I mean, the first time I went there was just the last time we all went together, and suddenly it's no longer this regular American, Christian dominant place. It felt like I visited England, So that was kind of crazy.
You went to England. England's a Muslim country, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so most of the interactions that you had, I'm sure were amazing and very educational, considering that Islam is a beautiful, peaceful religion that you can all learn from, and that you can that is very edifying, that is very enlightening, and all that. So most of your conversations were probably very, very peaceful and very beautiful and very nice and all that. But for some reason, one person, in a very unbecoming way, in a very un-Muslim way, started threatening you. That's what I heard. Or what happened there?
Well, we did learn some things. I, for one, learned that the Muslims there actually do watch a lot of our channels. Nice. Specifically, we had an interaction towards the beginning of our trip with someone who wanted to shout out to the other Muslims about all the things they think we've done.
I asked one of the Shia Muslims.
Quite interesting. And so it was quite interesting to learn that one or more of the Muslims there have thought that Apostate of Allah has shot the Quran, has burned the Quran, etc., etc. Both of those are things that she hasn't done, but I do find it interesting the level of watching.
I've seen her do some stuff to the Quran.
So there's a clip. No, Elle, you have a clip with me yelling at the top of my lungs because they wouldn't let me speak. Because they kept shouting me down. Have you ever eaten, shot or burnt the Quran? And then at the time I was like, I've never shot or burnt the Quran.
Hey,
and I've never eaten it on purpose.
Hey, find these guys for me. Because I've done just about everything except shoot a gun because I'm not allowed. Other than that,
David can't even shoot guns.
I know. What the heck, man. And we're supposed to have freedom here in America.
I thought it's a free country, man.
Sharia's already taken over. I can't even shoot a Quran, man.
So if you want to see I was just gonna say, if you wanted to see the clip that Apostate of Allah was talking about, you can.
That's towards the beginning. That's towards the beginning, man. You should just play that video from the beginning.
No, there's a different clip. That's not it. There's another clip.
Well, there are 2 clips within the video, but there may be an additional one as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, so right after this, David is saying we should start from the beginning. What is your vote, AP?
No, just play
Um,
some at the beginning, man. Then she can talk. Then we can talk some more.
Okay.
Then play a little more.
Let me play from my screen here then. Okay. For some reason, I
Play-
expected it to look different, but yeah, same.
Play it from your
Yeah.
screen. How else would you play?
I have video evidence of Dearborn Muslims wanting to murder me, and it proves my controversial ministry methods are worth repeating. Here's how.
Take your run. Don't do anything. No one cares about you. So we have the exact same right to say it. So that's when I see what I said. This is one line that you said, but it causes one line. You don't say that about a prophet. We don't accept it.
Wait, what was this guy saying?
He's saying what you lied. We don't accept that.
This is one line that you said, but it causes one line. You don't say that about a prophet. We don't accept it.
What line
Yeah,
is
it was-
not
it was-
accepting?
Well, you'll probably see, but I was asked specifically a very important prompt to fulfill. I fulfilled said prompt from their sources that they affirmed, and they weren't very happy about what was mentioned about their quote-unquote prophet. So I was pushing back on that as he was screaming at me. He was saying, you see that one effing line, what it does, and sorts of things like that. I was saying, do you care about truth? Because it's one thing to be like
Yeah.
flipping out, losing your mind over something, but it's another to be in rejection of something that you have affirmed from your sources. And flipping out, losing your mind over it. And so it was interesting timing, though, because when I said, do you care about truth? The response was, we don't accept it. And I think that was very telling. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mike Winger is playing with his dog here while we're live.
No, this dog cracks me up. If I let him in the room, he always wants to sit like right between me and my laptop until I shoo him away. But like ever since he was a little stupid puppy when Marie got him without telling me and got this stupid poodle, I'd be sitting there, okay, I got to get some work done. And he would insist he wants to sit right on my laptop. Anyway.
Nice. Based dog.
As hundreds of millions of Muslims across the world gathered together to commemorate the bloodshed of Shia Muslims by the hands of Sunni Muslims and mourn the deaths and torture of those they revere, I shared the gospel of life, proclaiming how even though our Lord was tortured and murdered by those he created, he resurrected and extends eternal life.
I wonder why they can't just do this stuff in some Muslim country, in some Shia Muslim country. I don't know.
They do it across the world. And so imagine if there were 40-something thousand Muslims doing this in Dearborn, how many more were doing it elsewhere? But I did find it interesting because it wasn't just Dearborn Muslims that did it in Dearborn. There were actually people that traveled from all over the country and even some outside of the nation, to my understanding, during this time. So,
Yeah.
life to those who believe in him and receive him for who he is and what he's done for us. While being hated by those who hate Christ is nothing new, and threats of death, rape, and other tortures are a pretty common occurrence, what happened in Dearborn, Michigan this Ashura was incredibly dangerous, and yet incredibly worthwhile.
Well, you can't say those words. You have to say grape when you talk on YouTube. So.
yeah, no, I actually thought when you were just playing that, I was like, oh, shoot. There were 2 places I accidentally didn't censor because I did actually purposely try to censor a lot of stuff. But no, it is what it is.
I wasn't being serious anyway because I say it all the time. So.
To be fair, the first several days of being there, things went fairly smoothly. The first day, Sara, also known as Apostate of Allah, and I shared the gospel.
Hey, wait a minute. That's you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it's me.
At a Middle Eastern restaurant before attending our first Ashura march, had friendly conversations with Muslims while we walked, listened to what they believed, and bridged from what they thought to what God taught. By identifying what they already cared about and where their real concerns were, we were able to communicate the gospel in ways that could actually...
Look at this. Elle is wearing a Palestinian keffiyeh.
That suitcase is like 10,000 pounds.
And she unrolling it some of the time. No, it's a brilliant setup. So what I did with the suitcase is I thought, oh, it'd be amazing to put my portable speaker. Yes, it's portable, but put the portable speaker on wheels and then be able to like rig my tripod for my 360 camera. That way, wherever we go, we can have the tripod for the 360. And then all we have to do is like unzip the suitcase and pull out the microphones and the speakers right there. And then like we get in any trouble, we just like zip up, head off, or we're all done. Like we just zip up, head off.
Nice.
And it did work quite well, except for the fact that we brought the speaker for this entire first Ashura March and never used it. And I had the tripod that I was holding anyway. And it was such a long march to the point where I had just gotten brand new boots sometime, I think like within a month of this, just several weeks before. And by the end of it, the metal from the like soles from the bottom of the shoes were sticking up into my foot. So it was quite a long walk, but it was a good idea with the suitcase, just not for that day. And then the next day we went to open it and the speaker was dead. So day 2 of having it was only useful for the camera, but it's fine. It's fine. I also lost the cord, so I couldn't charge it for the rest of the trip either, but it's fine. It's all fine.
Nice. Black Angel says, hella brave ladies. She never says this to me. She always says it to the women.
Do you want to be called a brave lady?
Yeah. It's interesting.
Consider and connect with.
Thank you, though.
Despite some uninterested people here and there, and calmly addressing an occasional angry Muslim, many Muslims got to hear the gospel and had the opportunity to leave behind the lies of Islam and accept the truth. The next day, we went to a local Sunni mosque that I was invited back to after I had gone with David Wood, God Logic Apologetics.
There you guys are.
When was this? This was like half a year ago? Was it less than that?
Less than half a year ago, yeah. Earlier this year.
Yeah.
It's been a minute, but imagine walking out the mosque and seeing that squad out there.
See my hands? I figured out how to turn AP into a gang sign. Very smart.
And many other friends for evangelism earlier this year. Upon our arrival, a Muslim man recognized us, saying, and repeatedly tried to rile up the other Muslims against us, saying things like,
What you guys do to the Quran? You're on camera. What you guys do to the Quran?
We debunk it, but yeah.
What do you do to the Quran?
Like, you should have said, huh, what haven't we done to the Quran? Would be an easier question.
That would be funny. That would have been
Hey, since this is more and more common, like when we went to like Dawa booths up in Ohio and stuff like that, they're like, hey, what'd you do to the Quran? What'd you do to the Quran? So you are correct. They do watch our stuff, but we need there's all sorts of stuff that's relevant. Like, why should we respect it? No, I mean, you could do a quick crash course. Well, I mean, it calls us the worst of creatures and calls for our violent subjugation, and you could just go down the list. And then should we respect it anyway? Should we respect a book that calls us the worst of creatures and calls for our violent subjugation? How much should we respect it? And why should we respect it? Because it's very important to us. Okay, well, what do you do with the idols of the polytheists that Muhammad stabbed in the eyes and then smashed with his stick? That was very hurtful to the people who believed in those idols. Why was that acceptable? We're just following the example of your prophet. I thought he's the pattern of conduct for people. That's what you do to a religion that you reject, right? So things like that. But I think in general, when I hear, what have you done to the Quran? We've just treated it with the respect that it deserves. And that's it. Boom.
Nice.
Now the Muslim was actually already aware of the reasons why and the details of why as well. So they weren't just following, the primary channels. They weren't just following the secondary channels. They were seeming to follow the back and forth between.
Then I have to say, when they bring it up, then we should praise them. If they actually know the reasoning and stuff behind it. Hey, you guys are pretty up on this. congratulations, man. Hats off for watching our stuff.
Right? You guys burned
Yeah,
the
you want us to sign your Quran for you?
Prophet.
She shot the
You guys
Quran.
fight.
I've never.
Shot the Quran, eat the Quran.
I've never.
You love interfaith dialogue, right?
Yes, because Jesus Christ is Lord.
But while he repeatedly expressed his contempt for us, we continue to express our care for him and those around him.
You have no respect.
I have a lot of respect because if we didn't respect you, we wouldn't be here.
No.
But he objected, saying,
You're here with the camera.
and hilariously, when we referenced one of the camera's purposes, saying,
It's safety.
It's called safety.
he mocked us, saying,
Take your phone. No one's gonna do anything. No one cares about you.
little did we know, my 360 camera
Wait, nobody cares about you, but he knows you guys and he knows what you do, and he comes there to confront you, but nobody cares about you guys. That's interesting.
Hey, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about you. I watch you all day, every day. I know everything about you, but no one cares about you.
That is wild.
may have saved our lives just 2 days later.
Is the camera 360? Can I like see everything?
I also find it funny that despite him saying,
No one cares about you.
he went on to work even harder to get people to care about us in our prior peaceful protests.
He said that you guys burned the Quran.
I want you to hear me. You said you believe in Jesus.
won't answer.
No.
Yes or no?
I
Her. How about her? How about her? How about her?
So,
What about you? Hey.
she's having a discussion.
Mind you, our peaceful protests were made against the evil ideology.
I wonder what would happen there if you just proudly said, yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Don't
Yes, I did what?
Well, that's Sarah saying Sarah didn't do that.
Yeah, but
Oh,
what
I
if
didn't
that was
eat the
Elle.
Quran.
That was
I know.
Elle.
I know, but what if you hypothetically did do it, and what if you hypothetically said, yes, I did.
I wouldn't have lied. I wouldn't have lied.
I know,
What
but
if
I'm
you-
saying
Yeah.
hypothetically, what if
Yeah.
you just said yes? What would happen then?
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely seemed like he was trying very, very hard to get everyone around him very upset at us, which I
Hey.
found
Hey, Sarah.
interesting.
Sarah,
And
next
to
time
be
you should be
fair-
like,
yeah.
next time you should be like, well, no, I haven't burned it, but since you're accusing me of it falsely anyway, I might as well. So I'll post a video later of me doing everything you accuse me of and blaming you. So be careful what you say.
I will
Yeah.
say this: the only reason why I didn't shoot or burn the Quran because I don't have a place where I can shoot and burn the Quran.
Happy to change
I'm
that.
being straight.
I heard of a place called the Quran Demolition Ranch where anything is possible with the Quran.
I wonder if it would be okay for live stream purposes to watch that last Quran Demolition Range live sometime.
Oh, I
What do you
played it on
think?
my live stream before.
And no problems?
No problem.
It just depends on if they think that it's actually live, like depending on what you're showing on screen, because there's certain policies against doing certain things live. Reviewing it live is fine, but
Yeah.
sometimes the flags don't know
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah, it's perfectly allowed to watch a video like that. You can't be shooting, you can't be engaging in shooting while you're live, but you can be watching it. But yeah, the algorithm doesn't always know the difference, and it if it is looking at your video and thinks that you're shooting live, then they can take down your live stream, and then you have to fight with YouTube and say, "You idiots."
You know what's funny? The other day I sent Thaddeus a message and said, "Hey, what happened to all the footage of the Quran Demolition Range?" Because I had no idea that it has all been published like 2 months ago. I don't know why. I had no idea that it's all public on a channel.
And actions Islam encourages, including the threats of death, rape, and other tortures made to us and our friends by those who follow the not so peaceful religion of peace. Thankfully, we were still able to have a ton of passionate and peaceful conversations, challenged Islamic beliefs, and shared our own, and even got invited to their dawah table. For some reason, however, the same Muslim man from the mosque showed up and continued his stunts.
This is like literally. I truly believe.
What are you going to do with it?
I don't know.
And for some reason, someone called the police on us.
Someone called. Someone just wanted to.
Why?
Just,
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Everything is good. Yeah. Thank you.
I find it so funny how 360 footage looks.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah, so almost
looks
everything
like-
in this video.
It looks like you're on a tiny little planet, or at least a little island, right?
And like
That's
these guys
actually-
are looking at you, but it looks like they're looking somewhere else.
You see that guy that came in? There was a guy that came and he tried to rile. He was like, "Oh, we know who you two are, right?" Like he says he knew us. That same guy that went there ended up coming up to the Dawa table. You played that part. Finish playing that part where he says, "You know what they're gonna do." Keep going. Does I have a story?
Wait, no, that was right before this. That was
what
right
are we
before
gonna do
this.
with the Quran?
He already played. Yeah, he just played that.
He said,
But
where was I? No, I say that because he comes in. So there's this big, tall Javad. Always gonna remember that dude's name. Okay, he tried to act like he was a Muhammad hijab. He was puffing up his chest, trying to bring up the same kind of
Very
Taoist
strong.
script. And then he comes up. He stands right next to him. So here's Javad and here's that dude, like right here.
No.
You gave them Qurans. He was like, "Do you know what they're gonna do with the Qurans?" And then I end up trying to have a conversation then with Javad, and then the idea of like how we didn't always grow up being Christians, right? And then Elle said, yeah, she wasn't always a Christian, and how because Javad was born this way, and I was like, I was not. And then the other guy was standing over there next to him, and Javad asks me, "What were you?" And then the other Muslim guy, he looks at him and then he looks at the ground and he just stares at piercing his eyes, piercing in my eyes. And then he looks down and he pierces again. It's like, I'm waiting. I'm just staring right at him, waiting for him to say it. He says with the smallest voice, he goes, "She's ex-Muslim."
Hey, look at this. Let me see if I can
It
play
was
this now.
amazing.
Let me see if I can play this now. There's a Quran in there. Now,
hear
wasn't that beautiful?
You hear that
Read along,
algorithm?
Brett.
You hear that algorithm? You like that? You like what you hear?
Wasn't that beautiful now?
It was good. May the Lord grant me a day where I get to shoot a Quran.
You see?
I found it super interesting though that that actually the other guy that we had seen at the mosque, and I've seen him even years back. He was actually in a video on my channel from like 4 years ago or so. Because he had come to the park when Anthony Rogers and Hatun Tosh and my husband and I, my husband is your brother in Christ. He came to the park while we were there with like a tent and speakers and our microphones, and we had a discussion way back then. So I find it very interesting that he's been following us. I don't know if it's been since then or since before then or when, but the way that he reacted to his Dawah buddy was like, wait, you don't know who they are? As if it's like default, like, yeah, everybody knows who they are. Like, why wouldn't you know who they are? And I also found it so interesting the way that Javad responded was just like, they're Arabs. Like, that's not what his point was. But yeah, that was very interesting. And as far as this police thing, like, you probably can't see too terribly well, but I think there was somewhere around like 6 policemen that they sent. I'm not really sure why. You can see, like, I'm talking to
Don't
one.
you see how scary
behind
we
Sara.
are? Don't you
There's
see
like
how
multiple.
scary you are, Elle?
Yeah,
We're frightening.
but they like walked the whole way around us, and then yeah, it was quite interesting. I'm not really sure why they were called, especially to show up in that number, but it was interesting, and they were respectful. These actually weren't even Dearborn police either. These were Trenton police, because the Dawah table that we got recommended to go to that belonged to the mosque in Dearborn was at a festival in Trenton, which was like a neighboring city. So very interesting.
That's right.
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. God bless you. God bless you. Yeah.
Despite all this, however, We were able to continue, and the Muslim who spent time going against us actually engaged, and I really appreciate that he did.
It's my duty to go share the gospel with you as Christians, okay?
Afterwards, we headed to a park to continue sharing the gospel there as well. The next day, we went back to the Dawa table, and when the Muslims there would no longer engage with us, we
Which was like
celebrated
immediately.
and shared the gospel with those elsewhere at the event, including.
Why did they no
They,
longer engage with you?
They tapped out so fast. So they kept trying to kick us out day 1 too, which is actually why we finally went over to that other section where the police came and surrounded us, because they were like, you know, we want to be here talking to other people and you're disrupting things. Essentially, I don't know that they said those words or anything, but I was like, well, yeah, like I would rather talk to you than other people talk to you. But I also didn't say that. But so I did walk over with one of the Dawa dudes eventually with Sara, and then the other guy came. But the dude that was running the Dawa table kept coming back over to the 2 other Dawa dudes and was like, hey, like get back over at the table, even though they're the ones who requested that we go over away from the table. And they kept being like, yeah, shoo, like it will come type stuff, and then continue to talk to us, which was pretty cool. But one of the times the Dawa dude came back over, that was running the table, the older guy, he was asked. I asked him some things about like the gospel, and there were some comments made, and he talked about how like it's not very fair for, you know, Jesus to be crucified for other people's sins. It's not really fair to have substitutional atonement. God is, you know, just, and that is not just, essentially. I think was like the heart of his concerns. And so I pointed out Sahih Muslim 2767, which talks about how on the day of resurrection there will come some Muslims with sins as heavy as a mountain, and Allah will remove them from the Muslims and place them on the Jews and Christians and say, these are your ransom from hellfire. And that's a paraphrase. It's A, B, and D that all say various wordings of this, so I kind of stuck them together. But so I pointed that out, and he seemed to not be familiar with that, so I asked him if he could please look into it. So we started off our conversation day 2 with like, hey, you know, we brought this up, like, did you look into this? And he's like, no, I was here until like after 11 last night, and then he was back up in the morning super early. I was like, oh, okay, like we can go through it now. So we start reading it, and they're like, yeah, we don't want you here, please go away, essentially.
That's pretty rude, man.
Yeah, and some of the people did seem to want to engage, but their leader was like, no, we don't want to deal with this.
That is very rude and not very welcoming and not very inclusive. So
yeah, they said that they weren't there for conversations or discussions. They were just there for giving away free Qurans, which I don't think is true, because I think if anybody else would have come up asking questions and they thought that they could call them to Islam as Dawa does, I think that they would have been doing that. And I think that that's why they didn't want us there, because despite how many times they may try to call us to Islam, we know that it's false and reject the lies of Islam and accept the truth. So
nice.
It is what it is.
A Jewish vendor who was spiritual but not religious. Sadly, he didn't pay us any shekels. Actually, we were the ones who paid him. Jokes aside, however, even though his beliefs were different from those of the Muslims that we had been talking with, by still trying to understand where the Jewish man was coming from, we were able to bridge from the concerns he already had to the solution we know he needs. And many more people heard the truth proclaimed. That night, we went back to the park.
Real quickly on that, I think it's super interesting that after I posted this video, literally saying, we paid the Jewish man. He did not pay us, we paid him. I've received probably more comments from one person than I remember ever seeing before about being paid to be Zionist.
Why do you interact with Jews? That shows that you're a Jew slave. Why would you interact? Why would you talk to a Jew? That means you're a slave of the Jews.
Now your new nickname is Elle Shekels. Elle Shekelstein.
to worship our Creator together and continued with evangelism after. Our final day is where things really took a turn. Apostate of Allah and I arrived at our second Ashura March in Dearborn.
Look
but
at that
this time,
crowd.
Alongside roughly 40,000 Shia Muslims and a few
This is
Christians.
in the U.S.
We discussed commemorations of Ashura and built bridges to the gospel.
Oh man, I didn't realize earlier with the earlier footage. It just keeps going here. It's crazy.
Yes. For quite some
That
time,
is
too.
Crazy.
Like as far as you can see in every direction.
The Islamic State of Dearborn.
The evils humans commit against fellow image bearers of God, and use the theme of the event entitled March for Justice to highlight how everyone except for God himself has sinned and falls short of the glory of God. And if we're judged for our sins,
There got smacked on the head with the flag.
So
And I was
context,
just short enough. I was short enough for it to go over me.
for context here, for those who are wondering what is happening here is it's a long story, but basically the Sunni and Shia split comes back to the early, after Muhammad's death, the succession over what Muhammad established. So Muhammad was, of course, not just a prophet, not just a preacher. He was actually a warlord and a statesman. He actually, a leader and a pedophile, but he established his own state and his own military and all that, established a power with which he started conquering and taking over much of the Arabian Peninsula. So when he died, two different sides started fighting about what's now going to happen to everything that Muhammad established, and they wanted a successor. One side said that they should elect a new successor, and that successor would be Muhammad's son-in-law and cousin, that is Ali, and the other would be Abu Bakr, who was Muhammad's close friend and also his childbred Aisha's father. In fact, the two sides were plotting against each other, and the ones that supported Abu Bakr quickly went and declared him the successor and started taking over, and then fighting started from there on. The fighting cooled down occasionally here and there. Ali at some point did become a caliph, but then later on was assassinated. He had two children, Hassan and Hussein, who were by supporters of the Sunni Caliphate, also later captured and brutally tortured and killed. And the Shia have turned Ali and the children, Hassan and Hussein, into basically their greatest heroes and martyrs. And the stories of how Hassan and Hussein were killed by the Sunnis are, or by what came to later on become the Sunnis, are quite wild, that they were kind of starved and not given any water to drink and then slowly killed and all that, are pretty crazy. So this is this fight is very central to Shia Islam, and Shia Muslims on multiple days of the year have big events in which they remember and shout out in mourning and pain about the killings of these guys. Their religious differences are very much built on the succession after Muhammad and what the legitimate form of Islam actually looks like. The differences aren't very great. Most of it, as said, boils down to who is supposed to be in charge after Muhammad, and what the role of those successors, the caliphs or the imams, are supposed to be. So they carry these flags. One of them says Hussein. One of them says Hassan, for example, or I think they both say Hussein here in this case. And so they just remember these guys, and it's also kind of like a lamenting against oppression by the Sunnis from then to today. That is basically what their whole religion is built upon. That's what they do. Just for a little bit of context.
It is. I will say, like, obviously I'm very against Islam, which I know is probably a shocker. But I do think it is pretty cool, the way that they commemorate it, which is by handing out water. It is by handing out food as they walk. I think that is pretty neat to turn something that was actually realistically very evil. Like, I can be against Islam and still be against the things that were done to these people.
Well, if you like this stuff so much, why don't you just revert and get it over with then?
The bad thing is that the Shia are not much better in all that than the Sunnis, as much as they claim victimhood all the time.
No, but I mean, yeah, they're constantly killing each other. Like, and this is something that I know David focused on years back, but I still since have not seen very many other people focus on very often, whether in mainstream media or within Islamic circles that are public to non-Muslims. Yeah, but Sunnis are killing Shias, Shias are killing Sunnis. People who are part of Sunnism are rejecting other people that are part of Sunni Islam and calling them kafirs, et cetera, et cetera. Like, Muslims are not good to each other. And I think it's wild because you'll see quite often in this video on a day where they're literally commemorating, not celebrating, but commemorating the violence done from some Muslims to some other Muslims. They want to make the focus Israel constantly.
What do you mean? You Christians,
Jews that, Israel this,
you
Israel
Christians have
that.
too many denominations. We are all one Muslim. What are you talking about?
One Muslim Ummah.
We're not one Muslim.
One Muslim Ummah. We are all together. We always like to kill each other. Allahu Akbar.
You are Protestant, Baptist, and Catholic. We are one Muslim Ummah.
To highlight how everyone except for God himself has sinned and falls short of the glory of God. And if we're judged for our sins, we all deserve hell. Yet God provided both a just and merciful solution for our reconciliation with him through the death and resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. I actually grew up always being taught that Shias or Shiites are not Muslims at all.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it goes so far that the ideas that are taught in the more traditionalist circles are that Christians and Jews are evil.
Mm-hmm.
However, they are better than Shia Muslims.
No,
that Shia are worse. That Shia are worse than Christians and Jews. Basically, that's the kind of stuff that you are taught as a Sunni Muslim, and also the other way around.
Hey, this is all a nice try, but did you notice that as soon as Elle started preaching the gospel, AP stopped it because he was like, "No, you must tell them about the one true church, or you're pouring gasoline on them, and they're already on fire. Let me derail this."
No. On that, what AP was talking about, when I was young, when I was a kid, I had a friend who was from Lebanon and she was Shia. I didn't understand anything about Shia. So one day I go up to my father and I ask him, what's Shia? All of a sudden, he literally went, spit on the ground, cussed out an Arabic storm. And I just look and he's like, don't talk to them. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah. People don't know. I've told this story a couple times in the past, but this is when I was learning, and all I knew was I'd heard of Shias and I'd heard of Sufis, but I hadn't looked into it, and I thought it was like strictly with the Shias. I just thought it was like a political disagreement and so on. So this is like 2000. I don't even know, 2006, 2007, and I saw someone say that Shias don't like Aisha. And I was like, wait a minute, what? Why would they not like Aisha? That was Muhammad's wife. That's the mother. I mean, that's the mother of the faithful. She's one of the mothers in the Quran. What the heck, really? And so I go into this Muslim discussion board. So this is like before, posting on YouTube and stuff. You had all these chat platforms and stuff. So I go in there, the Muslim chat platform that I knew about, and I just jump into one of the things that was busy, and I go, hey, is it true that Shias don't like Aisha? And it turned into like World War III on there. They all started attacking each other, like all the Sunnis and Shia. They were just having nice conversations. I asked that question, they all started and then they shut it down. They shut the whole thing down. And then they blocked me, and I tried to go back on the platform, and they sent me a message that said, "Yeah, we know, we saw what you did. You're just here to cause division." And so I was asking a freaking question. I was like, well, I wanted to know if this is true. But it's like, Whoa, they are very, very, very sensitive about this stuff. That is good to know.
So, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I didn't place the clips in here, but if you want to see some exclusive clips, I can pull them up. But I actually did bring up Aisha. Actually, someone else brought up Aisha, but I specifically focused on Aisha also because I do know that they are anti-Aisha. And I'm assuming we'll see some clips of
Hey.
she got.
Oh, that's a hilarious interaction.
Hey, that should be for future reference. Remember the Apostle Paul when they're bringing him before all the Jewish leaders and stuff like this, and he looks in there and he sees the Pharisees who believe in the resurrection, the Sadducees who deny the resurrection, and he believes in Jesus' resurrection, and so he walks in there and he goes, "Hey, I'm just here for my belief in the resurrection," and all the Pharisees and the Sadducees start arguing amongst themselves. That might be a good, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? I'm here because I don't like Muhammad's wife, Aisha. And then they'll all, yeah, our hero, she is here. That would be funny. Or just, I got a whole problem with this Aisha thing. And then they'll all be cheering for you.
Nice.
And wouldn't that be funny? They're like carrying Elle on their shoulders and stuff as the hero of Dearborn.
She's our new queen.
Well, they flipped on Aisha real quick. I think it was a hilarious thing, but I can pull that up later when we get to that part because I do think you guys will love that.
So just to quickly respond to this thing, who do the Sufis side with? So contrary to what many people often think and what kind of some of the Orientalist class kind of introduced to people, Sufis the vast majority of Sufis are Sunni Muslims. Sufis just differ in their practices and in some of their beliefs. They have some kooky ideas about theology, about Allah and the universe. Some of them believe in basically what could basically be described as pantheism, but the vast majority of them are Sunnis, so they are just part of the Sunni world, and naturally they will side with the Sunnis against the Shia. Interesting folk.
And fall short of the glory of God. And if we're judged for our sins, we all deserve hell. Yet God provided both a just and merciful solution for our reconciliation with Him through the death and resurrection of Jesus. The gospel as proclaimed in Romans 3:23-26 explains, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and are justified by His grace as a gift, through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus, whom God put forward as a propitiation by His blood to be received by faith. This was to show God's righteousness, because in His divine forbearance He had passed over former sins. It was to show His righteousness at the present time, so that He might be just and the justifier of the one who has faith in Jesus." On top of talking about these things,
I was going to make a joke and act like I was going to skip this just to continue with David's joke, but then I realized that we kind of messed up and stupid. So,
as many Muslims passed out food and water to those attending, we passed out our own Ashura gifts, Arabic and English Injils, in which John 7:38 records Jesus.
Real quickly on that, one of my favorite comments so far was somebody said, "You found the Injil?" Anyway.
So you passed out Arabic Gospels, New Testaments. What did you pass out there?
Yeah, so we passed out English New Testaments and English Arabic interlinear New Testaments.
Hey.
Based.
Hey.
What?
Does anyone do this? I think this would be helpful, but so when Muslims say, "Oh, it's Injil, it's singular, it's the Injil, it's the gospel, not the four gospels," and they don't understand like history at all, that from the 2nd century onward, the four gospels were treated as a unit called the fourfold gospel, or just the gospel. We should have the four gospels printed as a book titled either the Injil or the fourfold Injil, and use that to hand out to Muslims.
You're making a good point. I mean, I have a Arabic New Testament here, but so I was thinking, what are you on about? But that's a very good point, actually.
We call it the fourfold Injil, and then it's also an introduction. Why is it called fourfold? Well, since from the 2nd century on, it was treated as a unit called the fourfold gospel, which would be in Arabic the fourfold Injil, or just the Injil.
Yeah, you could just call it the Injil in Arabic.
And you could have, and then in the introduction, you could have a little description of that. It was, the 4 gospels were treated as a unit from the 2nd century onward, called the fourfold gospel, and pretty based.
You should quickly start doing that before somebody steals your idea.
Yeah, everyone's going to steal my idea.
Yeah.
Oh no, people sharing the word of God.
No, all you guys know, I don't do like 99% of my ideas, so it's good if someone steals them and actually does them.
Nice. I'm going to steal your idea.
That would actually be pretty easy. That would actually be pretty easy. You just have to find one of the companies that prints up tons of like, either, like one common one is the Gospel of John and the Book of Romans and stuff like that. But you just have to find one of these companies and tell them, hey, I think we could improve on this a little bit. It'd be really awesome. It'd be really, really, really awesome if we're making stuff. Yeah, the uncorrupted Injil. There we go. That's awesome. The uncorruptible Injil. It'd be really good. We need to make one, guys, and then have someone else print it. But we have the 4 gospels in there. We have a little bit of commentary in there that's relevant for Muslims on various things, but like there's an introduction, and we go through like the Islamic dilemma in the introduction, or not even the dilemma, not like using it to criticize, but just what the Quran says about the scriptures of the Christians and how it's telling us to judge by them. It's sending even Muhammad to our scriptures to find out if his scriptures line up with our scriptures and stuff like that. Have all that in the intro, and then hand those out. Then they find out what the Quran says about the gospel, what the gospel is. They've got it right there. Got some commentary. I think that'd be dope.
That'd be based. You could publish a book called The Original Injil. How about that? In Arabic and in English.
The true Injil.
In which John 7:38 records Jesus' proclamation, "Whoever believes in me, as the scripture has said, out of his heart will flow rivers of living water." It was then that we encountered what seemed to be a group of duat, which are Muslims trained in the not-so-sacred art of dawah. And lots of dawah scripts were recited and refuted, until more dawah scripts were recited and refuted.
So the Judaism religion is centered around their Masonic figure. Their Masonic figure is not Jesus. It is not
Masonic figure. You see, the Jews are all Freemasons.
I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I included like a little, like, I'm assuming he meant messianic.
I assume he means messianic, yeah.
And that's how I responded, was like assuming he meant messianic, but I did think it was funny. It reminds me of juniorisms, like tree unity or whatever.
It is crazy to me that people can look at this and still think the earth is flat, by the way. See?
No, but like I love the 360 footage because you can really get whatever angle you want. Like almost all of this entire video is recorded with 360 camera. The like when I'm talking, the talking head part is recorded with a camera by a 360 company, but the rest of like the clips from Dearborn are all from a 360 camera, and they look like normal footage if you angle them in the way that you want them to. Or they can do like Tiny Planet, which is actually what it's called when it is like the small circle, or they can be various levels of encompassing the conversations around. And it's super helpful because there's so many things that were going on in this video that I had no clue that they even happened until after I went back and watched the footage. Like there's so many conversations that it caught going on in the background that I got to see. I got to see like the crowds that surrounded us. It's crazy the amount of crowds that surrounded us as we were sharing the gospel of various places. Like, I knew that there was like, maybe 10 people that were listening that were there. But then like all the people that surrounded them at various instances and listened in, it was a huge blessing, but I had no idea. So super cool. Super cool.
Beck Solis said, "Hey sister's been praying for the both of you."
Thank you.
Recycle Ben Al says, "Mike Winger wouldn't be late, but David Wood is." That is correct. A user
Wait,
says,
you missed the joke. Go back. Can you go back?
I can't go back. I already unmarked
I just said David Wood.
But David Wood. Oh yeah, okay. Trackstar, check this out, guys. Every time I look up a Quran verse in Google, it shows it in the best light and in a different translation, not the direct. Yeah, just Google the Quran verse, go on Quran.com when it pops up in the results, and make sure that you go into the settings and have the Sahih International translation on, or the Pictol, for example.
Oh, not the new version of the Sahih International though. They sanitized the Sahih International so much from 2024 translation.
Yeah, that's crazy because I used to use pretty much exclusively Sahih International, and I still do for the most part. But it is wild seeing some of the changes, and actually one of the big changes that really mattered. Actually is something that was discussed while we were there in Dearborn as well.
Nice. Randy Bears gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much. Thank you for expanding the cult. Soon everybody will be an Apostate Prophet cult member. Patriotic Z, ex-Muslim, now Christian, on trial in Pakistan for blasphemy for sharing a video. God Logic brought him to Christ. His trial on the 3rd. Wow.
I had him on my channel yesterday, and I interviewed him, and he shared his story.
God Logic does fantastic, great work. God bless him. Shout out to him. Patriotic Z, it is Agend Tech Apologetics. Found Momo in the Bible, Psalm 129:3. The proof.
That is a powerful verse, man.
This is the proof. What does the verse say?
You might go ahead and read it. You'll get it instantly.
Plowmen have plowed my back and made the furrows long.
You just laughed at that yesterday, Sarah.
Okay, it's still funny.
Cult Ray said the Crusader March sounds like a glowy false flag event like the Charlottesville rally or J6. Will Patriot Front be there with the other Fed boys? I don't know. I just wouldn't trust anything that Jake Lang organizes. I have heard from very reliable people that you should not trust anything Jake Lang does. So, Unique Petsu, Taylor Robson stitched Elle's head in Dearborn. Flippy, my dad is Japanese. I want to borrow his katana and see how well a Quran does against a katana swing. You should try it out and record it on camera.
Oh man, if you get, some of those are so well made. There were stories of like katanas so sharp during World War II, they would like show off by like slicing gun barrels. Like the gun barrel would slice when you swung one of these at it.
Why? Nice. Recycle now, a Sunni and a Shia walk into the bank. They pew-pewed the Jew. What's an Arab on coke? A prophet. Christian Arab, the last 5%. You haven't ate spaghetti off the Quran yet. This is correct. Recycle banal, roll a cig with Quran and smoke a Quran fig. Giancus the Great, God bless you. God bless you too. Gabanimanic Studio says, good luck, Mr. David Wood, against Jay Dyer. I love pupusas. What? Have you ever had any? It's from El Salvador. Do you like pupusas?
I don't know, but I probably would.
I said would. Me gusta la pupusas con curtido y salsa de tomate.
See.
Magnus Bopus says, they beat me in the desert. Cultware says, what is this Ashura? Is that related to the Asherah poles that all the judges and prophets had to keep?
That's what it sounds like. That's what everyone thinks. That's what everyone thinks when they hear it.
It's related to the killing of Hussein, as I just explained earlier. If you weren't there, just go back. But it's basically about people killing Muhammad's grandchildren.
Dude,
Muslims
you
killing Muhammad's
don't
grandchildren.
understand, though. If you have a word in one language that kind of sounds like a word in another language, then they're referring to the same thing. Are you not familiar with Dawa at all at this point?
Hey, this is so funny. Wait,
Indeed.
AP speaks Spanish?
Yes, perfect Spanish.
Yes.
It's good to know that I did such a good job.
Mhm.
I have no idea what I said. God is love. David would study in jail.
David would study in jail.
Past the dark horse. The perfectly preserved book has been changed again. And finally, Eli made a fantastic $200 super chat and said, "Love you guys. We love you, Eli. God bless you so much. Thank you.
Okay, Eli. Thank you.
And I hope to see you soon again someday, somewhere."
You'll be seeing if you go to you'll be at DebateCon. You're definitely going to see him. We'll probably stay at his house, man.
Oh, no. Oh,
He's in Florida. He's in Florida. It's in Florida. It's in Florida.
Oh, nice. All right, let's continue with the video.
Refuted.
So the Judaism religion is centered around their Masonic figure. Their Masonic figure is not. It is not.
It is, but only God, right?
You want to bet? We can
Real
say
quickly on that.
Mark says the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
Yes.
See how quickly they moved on though? Like they did not even let us finish like giving our sentences before they just like jumped in with their next JavaScript. Like there's this very short clip here that we pause in the middle of, and it's just like back to back multiple JavaScripts after multiple JavaScripts. Like, and they're like constantly the whole time going, no, let me talk. I have a question. Let me talk throughout various of these clips and throughout the time that we were there in person. And it was crazy, but they were all just like trying to jump over each other to like, you know, bring up their JavaScripts that they wanted to do, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, so he was saying that the messianic figure in Judaism isn't Jesus, which, as all of the Christians know, it absolutely is Jesus that is the messianic figure. He is the messianic figure. He claimed to be the messianic figure, and messianic.
Well, I don't understand
Jews-
here. I don't understand here what the point of this this objection that they're making is.
I'm not really sure because, of course, they think that Jesus is the Messiah as well. So I don't know. I don't remember exactly if this was supposed to be like a division, like, oh, you know, Christians are closer to Muslims. That is something that we hear often, even if it's not what was happening here. I'd have to go back in the context and see. But yeah, they do, depending on what they want to try to pull, tend to flip-flop between, oh, you know, Christians are super close to Muslims when they want to play that game. And when they don't want to play that game, they'll go, well, Jews are super close to Muslims. And I think that both of these games were played during this event because, you know, of course, they want to say, you know, at least Jews have like true monotheism and Muslims have true monotheism, but Christians don't. But they'll also try to get like Christians to team up against the Jews, especially Israel. So it was probably something like that they brought it up for. But my point was like, dude, they reject Jesus, but that doesn't make him not their. Some Jews reject Jesus as the Messiah, but that doesn't make him not their messianic figure. It doesn't change the fact that he is the promised Messiah according to the prophecies and the scriptures. Just like in Islam rejects Jesus for who he is.
Yeah.
Even if they claim that he's the Messiah, they still reject who he is. That doesn't change who he is. Like, you can reject something, it doesn't change reality.
Yeah. Also, just a quick correction. It's actually Israel. So you're supposed to say Israel.
You want to bet? We can search it. Because we have to
Mark
clarify.
says the Lord our God, the Lord is one.
But we also said that the Father inside him Shema and to all the flesh, the Lord, to give eternal life. The Lord is one. The Lord our God, the Lord is one.
And even though we had the right answers to the objections and questions being asked, the Duat didn't seem to actually care about their own objections and questions, let alone our answers. Even though many important topics were addressed, they weren't important topics to them, and barriers were still in the way to the Muslims making meaningful connections to Christ. like a script of a play, the Dawa dudes could just simply move on to the next scene in the act at a moment's notice. And they did, until one of them brought up something they actually.
Sven Donald says Jesus was a carpenter, not a mason. This is a very good, important clarification here. Yeah. Although he probably wasn't a carpenter in the modern sense and probably also did some stonemason work, as we can find out.
So you're saying he was a mason?
And he was free.
You see, he was free and he was a mason. Oh.
And once they cared, they really cared.
We are not your problem.
But it was.
Wait a minute. So you go there to talk about to preach the gospel to them, and their resort, of course, is Jews. You're supposed to have a problem with the Jews. What about the Jews?
Yes.
Jews. I'm very surprised. I never hear Muslims do this.
It seriously was like a comedy, especially going back and editing this. Like the number of times that I heard Jews and Israel brought up, it's like, how on earth is this a thing? How? Like, this is like a joke. Like, we joke about this, but they're serious. They're so serious. How do they do this unironically so much?
It's crazy. Is it wrong that I didn't even notice it? Like, you know when you're used to something so much, it doesn't faze you anymore? So you just continue on.
The Jews. What about the Jews? Speaking of that, let's see. We actually, something very interesting just happened earlier today, a few hours ago. Erica Kirk made the following post. She has joined in. She is continuing what Charlie Kirk did to his last day. The day before he died, Charlie Kirk posted that Islam is the problem. Erica Kirk today posted just 3 hours ago, Islamification is not compatible with America or with the U.S. Constitution. For this, of course, and for many other reasons, Erica Kirk is totally based.
It is totally based.
Don't let Candace see that.
However, of course, the attacks began immediately, including Daniel Hikachu. How much did Israel pay you to collaborate in
What a
killing
piece
him?
of garbage.
How
What
original,
a
Daniel
sick bastard.
Hakikachu. No one could have foreseen you would say such a thing.
So many other comments here I saw earlier, especially by Muslims. Whoa, but Israel, Jews, Israel, Jews, Israel. What about Israel? Look at random posts about Jews. His Eddie.
What
D.
about Rebecca? Why?
What does-
Why?
What does this have to do with anything at all? It's like Islamification didn't kill your husband, says the Muslim mom. You colluded with the Zionist Jews of Israel to do that. This is just such disgusting behavior. It's always the Jews. And by the way, you colluded with the Jews to kill your husband. These people have no regard for honesty, no regard for truth. And I'm sorry to say, even when I interact with some good Muslims, I simply cannot look past the fact that they always act like this.
It wasn't about the Trinity. It wasn't even about Jesus. It wasn't about the preservation of the Bible, and it wasn't even about the gospel. What was it the Duat cared about? Muhammad. And even more specifically, Muhammad's morality, or lack thereof.
Wait, you said something about and maybe you were trying to say that he sinned. Tell no sin that Muhammad did. Maybe you heard the misconception of be married.
It started off by just sounding like another prompt thrown out there with no concern for its answer. And defense was ready for the expected answer before I even gave one. And
Real quickly on that. So for the sake of time, because this video is already far longer than I initially intended it to be, but we actually talked substantially about Muhammad and Aisha. And it was interesting because when he brought that up, he said, you said something about, Muhammad, maybe you meant to say that he sinned or something. These are just approximations of what he said.
Hey, little side note, the Quran says he sinned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah. So
David can never allow a woman to talk. Always has to interject.
Well, I have to do half their talking for them to make up for their deficiency.
But there's one full brain here.
Anyway, continue, Elle. Sorry for the very rude interruptions.
So previously in the conversation, I had talked about, of course, the gospel, how all of sin and fall short of the glory of God, except for God himself, these sorts of things. And the Muslim, Danny is his name, he actually requested that he be tagged in the video, which you'll see later in the video. And he actually has commented on the video since, which I find quite interesting, as has his friend repeatedly with his friend. But he said there's only one way to heaven, and it is through our our good deeds. And so you have to do more good deeds than you do bad deeds and these sorts of things, because if you do good deeds then you'll go to heaven, if you don't then you won't. That sort of mentality that we hear again and again, not just from Islam but from pretty much every other religion except for Christianity. And on that note, it was very good to hear that you're a Protestant now on your stream yesterday, AP. That was pretty cool. But
that's a lie.
I'm glad that you do affirm that it's not by our works, regardless of whatever you call yourself, even if it's inconsistent with Eastern Orthodoxy. I appreciate the way that you see the gospel for what it is. With that said, much love to you.
I have to correct that. That's actually not true, because in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, in Orthodox Christianity in general, salvation is not earned by works. It is a free gift by God. It is
That's
mainly
right.
required to hold on to your faith.
As we're taught in the Bible, our only infallible authority. Yes.
No, that is actually what the Orthodox Church teaches and has always taught, that salvation is a free gift by God, and no acts, no works earn you salvation. That is the official position. You can Google it.
And yet, if you're on your period, you can't take the Eucharist, and thus you can't be saved if you miss the Eucharist. But anyway,
that's not
on
true. That's not what the Orthodox Church teaches. It doesn't teach that at all.
The sources say differently that I've seen.
Yes, you can do and then continue on.
That's not what it teaches.
A different conversation
next week.
for a different day.
Next week we're going to have the council of someplace in Turkey, and it will be to condemn the heresies of AP.
Yeah.
No, I think AP has a great view on the gospel, and I'm grateful for it.
Oh yeah, but his church
Muslims
would destroy him and anathematize him repeatedly. They're gonna be like, we've never had to anathematize people for so many things. Dude, everything you say is anathema.
In the Orthodox Church.
I mean, it is apparently very, very difficult to grasp the very basic teachings of Orthodoxy, but this is literally what the Orthodox Church has taught for the last 2,000 years. So it's very wild, very wild.
So it's so easy to come at morality claims. We can call Muhammad words.
Yes.
What I was actually trying to pull up is pretty much all the other religions say that it is work-based, that we get to heaven or don't. Obviously, Christianity teaches something different, and that is that it's only by the work of God, not by our own, because all of us are incapable of ever doing enough good works to ever earn perfection. God alone is perfect and sinless. But this Muslim was saying that it is about works, and you have to do enough good to get to heaven, and these sorts of things. And so I brought up, then what about Muhammad? Were Muhammad's works good enough? And I brought up about how the Quran commands or records, supposedly Allah commanding Muhammad to say, I know neither where I'm going nor where you're going, showing that even Muhammad didn't have assurance of his salvation. And so I brought that up, and I think that he brought up the, tell me one sin that Muhammad did in response to that a bit later in the conversation, because Muhammad didn't even know if his good works were good enough for heaven. And ultimately we know that one, they weren't, and two, that's not how he would get there anyway. If he were, clearly he didn't, based on everything we know. There was no repentance, only further evils. But he had that defense ready to go with Aisha. He was like, maybe you've heard the misconception that Aisha was 9. And it's funny because I pushed back on that and I was like, well, you're Shia, right? And he was like, oh, Sunni Shia, we're just Muslim. Putting on that whole look for the non-Muslims there. But he did say that he affirmed Sahih Hadith. So he affirmed like Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, if I understand correctly, despite the fact that he's supposedly somewhat Shia. It was funny because his friend came up and I was like, you're Shia, right? And he was like trying to stop him from answering. And he's like, yes, of course. And his friend's like, no. Danny was like, no, we're just Muslim and that sort of thing. But I brought up how in the Quran and Sahih International shows this prior to their change. Something very important that you can bring up to Shia Muslims. And this was something that was actually advised for me to do by Adam Seeker. I had talked to him before our trip. And let me see if I can pull this up on my screen. But essentially, I had asked the Muslim who had openly said that he's Shia. Of course, this is a Shia march. I'm assuming pretty much everybody there was either Shia or sharing the gospel with Shias. But he recommended that I pull up, that I first ask, what they believe about Aisha. And so I did. I asked, do you believe that Aisha was wicked, essentially? And it was affirmed that she was, evil and wicked and that sort of thing. And I was like, okay, cool. Because how in the Quran it says evil women are for evil men and evil men are for evil women. And they
real quick.
They're like, no, she wasn't wicked. She wasn't wicked. She just had one thing wrong with her, but she wasn't wicked. She wasn't wicked. What are you talking about? Which I thought was hilarious. But that definitely matters. It's crazy though, because if you go to for example, Quran.com, you can still see when you go over like the Arabic to English for that verse where it says that. But in the English and Sahih International, it now says wicked words instead of wicked women. So
Really?
It says like wicked words are for wicked men and wicked men are for wicked words and these sorts of things. It's insane the edit that they've tried to do there, because that's clearly not what it says or what it says.
That's crazy.
Without lies, what happens to Islam?
It dies.
It dies. You have to cover it up.
Jeremy Crawford said Dyer is running from Joel Osteen. I can actually confirm this. Joel Osteen wants to debate Jada, but Jada is terrified of Joel Osteen.
Wait,
as everybody
really?
else is. As everybody. No.
That's not real. I was like, wait, okay, listen, it's late here. That was up. I've been awake for a very long time.
We can say he's a warlord, a pedophile. We can come at their politics. None of it is persuasive to Muslim.
Regardless of some claims, however.
So false.
So
that episode ticked me off so badly, for so long. Yeah, he teaches people that they shouldn't address the morality of Muhammad. He teaches people that they shouldn't address the things that Muhammad did to Aisha and to others.
He's a gatekeeper. He's a gatekeeper. That's what he is. It's my way or the highway, and you have to do it my way or you're wrong. He's a gatekeeper. That's all that he is. He became he was an ex-Muslim. He went he went online. He has the charisma. He got famous way too damn quick, and he ended up getting puffed up. That's what happened with him.
You see, Kenneth Copeland would cook all over the bros. They are too scared. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. That's true.
But it is heartbreaking though, because
and often more than most anything.
So, what were you saying? Something?
Yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of heartbreaking, though, because Ali Bastaki has been focusing a lot on Islam lately, and I think that she's doing great. She's had a lot of cool guests on. She's had Raymond Ibrahim on, and she's planning on continuing to do things, because when she polled her audience, they said one of the primary things that they are concerned with is Islam, and she has been focusing on it a lot since.
That's good news. That's very good news. People should be focusing on that, and that is what Charlie Kirk was emphasizing in his last months, and I'm glad that some people are listening. It's good.
Yeah, and on the Erica Kirk thing, I think that's super cool that that's specifically how she worded that. I need to make a reply to that with the clip from the U.S. Constitution compatibility thing before congressional representatives, because it definitely was addressed before government officials. And that was quite an interesting thing, how they proved themselves while claiming that they're compatible, that Islam is compatible with the U.S. Constitution. They proved that it isn't by denying freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and more, and trying to shut down those who would pull up
That's
their own
right.
sources, which is
That's
wild. But yeah, so Ali Bestaki has been focusing on Islam, and that's great. But it was just really sad, this episode that I posted a small clip from, because she's like, we really want to share the gospel with Muslims. How can we do that? And Sri Khan was like, yeah, like these things aren't convincing. We can't just be in a Christian echo chamber saying only things that Christians care about. It's like, no, what? And then
that's the opposite of our experience. I mean,
yeah. Literally,
David knows very well. I know very well. We have been doing this for years, and
everyone knows.
All those who do the soft approach don't get responses. We have been doing the aggressive approach forever, and it brings results.
And here's the thing,
I find it's actually the reverse. So he's saying, oh, this stuff is compelling to Christians, but, not to Muslims. It's the reverse. What he's saying is compelling to lots of Christians. Hey, just be nice about this. That's compelling to lots of Christians. It doesn't do anything with Muslims. But I'll just add here that Nabil, way back in the day, he told me years after I was bringing this stuff up. But when we were talking about, he said later on, it was specifically the issue of taking female captives, like even if their husbands were alive and stuff like that, and then being able to, being allowed to do whatever you want with them. He said he started thinking, well, there are lots of Muslims that don't consider my family Muslim because we're Ahmadis. He said, so do I think that it would be cool, it would be okay with God if like just regular Orthodox Sunni Muslims stormed a village with my mom and sister in there and they just got to do with them whatever they wanted? Do I think that's from God? He said that was the first, he didn't tell me that then. He didn't tell me that when he was a Muslim. He told me that after he became a Christian. But when we talked about that when he was a Muslim, he acted like it didn't bother him at all. But he told me later on it was really, really bothering him. So that's the real principle, that if this guy's saying this doesn't bother Muslims, lots of Muslims will pretend these things don't bother them. And to be fair, there are Muslims that Muhammad could have like tortured busloads of children. It's, well, he's the prophet, so it doesn't matter. But tons of Muslims are bothered by these things, and we know this. But they kind of put on a show and pretend they're not. In the moment, but we know for a fact this stuff bothers Muslims. It's the biggest thing.
Indeed.
Inside of or outside of Islam.
Thank you, Mr. Hijab. Yeah, he does the work for us, right? We have an actual list right now. Muslims, when you are doubting whether your religion is true, what's causing those doubts? Like the number one answer was moral problems with Muhammad. Moral problems with Muhammad really bother Muslims. And so we're given that information and simultaneously we're told, but don't use this. Wait, don't use the one thing that causes Muslims to doubt their religion? What?
It's also important to recognize that for many Muslims, the primary thing standing in the way of accepting Christianity as true is already trusting in Islam, meaning often tearing down the lies of Islam allows the truth of Christ to be received.
It seems like about 95% of the people I've seen leave Islam and become Christian only took Christianity seriously after having their confidence in Islam wrecked by other things.
After all, if people don't realize they're sick, why would they desire a cure?
People are touching character of Muhammad and Muslims are running away from Islam. I know personally over 1,000 ex-Muslims, and only one ex-Muslim I know who I didn't sit down and then like expose Islam.
Furthermore, 2 Corinthians 10:5-6 demonstrates the importance of this, saying, "We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ, being ready to punish every disobedience when your obedience is complete. So, what happened when I focused on the immorality of Muhammad at the request of the Duat?
So you asked what Muhammad did wrong? He had his adopted son, divorced his wife, and he married his son's wife. It's wrong.
First, they denied. Then they wanted to see my claims proven from the Quran,
I refuse.
which is fair.
I'm trying my best.
Wait till he bends over. 1 second.
And
The guy that's talking to me with the tattoos.
Al-Tabari was a...
What?
That guy, keep playing.
Well, hold on. So, when he was reading the Quran on my phone, and then I said, and then he abolished adoption. I thought the reaction was so funny because he was like, yeah, so then why'd you marry her? Which is, yeah, I agree. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Affirmed as a reliable source.
Yes, because Muhammad saw her undressed and lusted after her, and then she that's what we're talking about.
Then I showed what's recorded in Al-Tabari. Then I remembered Muhammad raping Zainab. So I pointed it out. And you can see the sources for yourself in Is Islam's love for Jesus a lie? As well.
What did you say?
The Muslims weren't happy.
Hey, stop. Wait. We're keeping
The portion's not there.
Let me talk. No, 1 second before we continue.
That guy, 1 second, pause.
Wait, stop.
Yes.
Me and that guy over there with the tattoo, we had a good long conversation going back and forth, and we were going to talk about the adoption. So he tried to go and tell me how adoption is not haram in Islam, and I'm like, no, adoption is haram. But he was trying to say, no, you can go ahead and take care of orphans. And I'm like, I didn't say that in Islam you weren't commanded to take in orphans. I said in Islam, adoption is haram. And then homie goes and bends over and shows me Sheikh ChatGPT. So I see him what he's typing, and I'm telling him, no, type specifically, is adoption, because he was going to type, do Muslims have to take care of orphans? I was like, no, type down, is adoption haram in Islam? And he types it, and he's reading it. And you know when somebody's reading, and all of a sudden they realize they were wrong, but they keep reading, and you can see the hamster inside of his brain running in its little wheel to realize, wait, he's wrong. And the moment that I was going to start bringing up why Muhammad abolished adoption, homie, the other guy that Elle is talking to, she called the prophet a rapist. And I'm like, come on, man.
Thanks for derailing the entire discussion, Elle. Yeah. Hey, guys, for everyone watching, adoption was abolished in Islam specifically so that Muhammad could take the wife of his own adopted son. People complained about it. They thought that was on this similar level with incest. And so to shut down all the complaints, he just abolished adoption in Islam. That's Surah 33 verses 4 to 5 of the Quran. Surah 33 verses 4 to 5 of the Quran. The Muslim response is always, what are you talking about? We're allowed to take care of orphans. Yeah, guys, you can take care of orphans. Adoption is when the orphan becomes part of your family, takes your family name and things like that, and gets a new family, basically, because the old one abandoned him or died or something like that. That's what is forbidden.
Can AP, are you able to share my screen real quickly? Because I do want to share, David is wrong. You can actually make up to 4 orphans part of your family. And we see that in Surah 4, ayah 3. And it says, and if you fear that you will not deal justly with the orphan girls, then marry those that please you of women, 2 or 3 or 4. But if you fear that you will not be just, then one or those your right hands possess, that is more suitable that you may not incline. And yeah, none of these things are in the original Arabic. But this is marrying orphan girls, not women, but orphan girls.
Yeah.
Is what's promoted.
That's pretty messed up. Islam is pretty messed up. I just found out. Dude, how did the conversation get to Jews again? Wait a minute.
I don't know. It's just constantly on Jews.
Wait, stop. We don't accept you saying he anything. Yeah, literally.
So this is the funny thing. I pointed this out before, but so much of the discourse about anti-Israel and anti-Jews, and so many people have bought into it, is happily pushed by the Muslims and happily pushed by Islamic interests, happily pushed by these people. They love it. They love it because it distracts people from Islam. It's so funny. You have these gropers and others complaining about Israel, and Jews. Meanwhile, Muslims are making themselves comfortable in your country and taking over, and installing more and more Islamic institutes, Islamic mosque, Islamic prayer places, Islamic whatever it is, coming in, making themselves comfortable while distracting people with Jews, Israel. It's so dumb. And it has always been their tactic. They love the atmosphere right now. They love the environment. They love the whole conversation about Jews and Israel right now because they can perfectly distract you from the stuff that they themselves do. What do Jews have to do with this conversation? Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
The Jews paid us to go there.
So what?
I said the Jews paid us to go there. To
That's
disrupt
true.
their Ashura march.
But they did finally care about something that they now have to deal with and resolve. One of them tried to dismiss it.
That's Google.
It wasn't Google, though. And the Muslims were the ones using ChatGPT as evidence earlier, not us.
Now you know what I can ask Google.
And they were.
Did you catch that?
What?
Did you catch what he said?
No.
So he said,
and ChatGPT as evidence earlier, not us.
Now you know what
I know what ChatGPT is.
You know what ChatGPT is?
Yeah, but then I said I was questioning him because we were going to source text and scriptures, and he was refuting this by asking to go to ChatGPT, and I'm like, you're gonna ask ChatGPT instead of the Lord God? And he's like, I can ask Google instead. I'm like, that's not the point. What do you mean? No, that's not the point.
What do you want? You want me to ask Grok? I ask Grok. Fine, Grok.
Ask Grok.
But this isn't a game.
Well, that would be a stupid statement considering that it's Muhammad, your prophet, who raped people.
They're trusting in a false prophet and eternity is at stake. So I reread them.
That alone ends everything. That's
And then they turned back around, getting even angrier. But they weren't mad about something said without.
This is so funny. This reminds me of a clip I recently saw, which I decided not to review, where this Muslim guy, Muslim streamer, Muslim kick streamer or something like that, goes to, for some reason, is hanging out in a club with this Canadian singer, influencer, and model.
Oh,
and,
that neon dude.
Yeah, so she offers, somebody offers him a drink, and then she says, I didn't interview it for very obvious reasons, because because of her appearance.
Long story short, she's got her boobs all.
Thank you, David.
She got her boobs up in everyone's face.
Thank you, David.
And AP's like, can we review this? I'm like, I don't know, coin flip, dude. You might want to blur it or something. And then he ended up not doing it.
Yeah, I said probably not. So, so she says, "Oh, he's a Muslim. He can't have drinks." And then he says, "Oh, what's wrong with that?" And she's like, "Nothing. I'm just pointing out you're a Muslim." And then he's like, "No, let's talk about Islam." She's like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "Yeah, look, come on, let's talk about it. What's wrong with it?" And he's like, "Okay, well, you believe in beating women, marrying multiple women, marrying children, and all that." And then he suddenly gets offended and starts walking away. So, and then makes a whole big drama trip out of it. So the Muslim guy, the Muslim streamer, insists that they talk about Islam. She's like, "No, we don't have to. I'm good. We're fine." He insists further on talking about Islam. And she's like, "All right, fine. Your religion abuses women and you believe in marrying children." He's like, "Well, how could you say this?" And then starts walking away. That's basically the scenario. Why is this such a common thing that they do? They want to talk. They ask you about what's wrong with Islam. You tell them what's wrong with it, and then they are outraged or offended. It's incredible, man.
Evidence. They were mad about things said by their affirmed sources. And they don't just go away. Even if I do. And even when I did. After things kept escalating, Sarah asked for us to go, and I didn't want to, but I listened.
She's a party pooper.
No, not a party pooper.
He's like, "Please, Elle, we need to leave."
I'm gonna comment on that.
And they had Sarah shook. They had Sarah shook, and she's like, "We need to get out of here. I can't deal with all this powerful dawah."
The opposite. I can tolerate a whole lot, but the dude that I was talking to over there, we still got to go ahead and use wisdom because I don't care. It's like I'm gonna go talk to a Muslim. I really don't care. But the dude that I was talking to with the tattoos, when I went to go approach him, because I was still approaching them, there was still a scene where everybody was still making their shouting and all these things, and I was talking, and the guy he calls me Danny. He tells me it's not a good look for you. Leave with a face of concern. He knew something was going to happen. And I felt that when he was talking, not a little while later, not even a few seconds later, another lady came and she was like, "You girls are the ages of my daughters. You have to leave. Leave now." And I'm like, "We need to leave, Elle, because no matter what, you still have to use wisdom. You can't just go ahead. There's other things we can go do. Okay. I'm all for throwing hands and all these things, but like, let's just use wisdom and walk off." That's what
I wasn't looking to throw hands, for the record. I was looking to continue conversations.
I know. But you know what? Solidified that thought. Because that same dude, Danny, was picking up the dude and removed him. And he was trying to de-escalate his own people. Like he realized that they were trying to do something. So by God's grace, he used an evil dude to calm things down where things could have been way worse. That's what was being communicated. If I'm hearing that, we're still two girls without a weapon on us. So
powerful stuff.
What just happened, we reflected on what mattered most to them as we walked away.
The morality of Muhammad. Yes.
Then I started new conversations with more Muslims.
I know today you're celebrating Hussein, right? And his martyrdom. But like as a Christian, we of course celebrate that Jesus, who has always been God, added humanity to his divinity, with the perfect life, was crucified and resurrected just as he promised.
But in the middle of our new conversations, the angry Dawa dudes found us, even more livid than before.
We have more than one prophet, though. Like, being crucified against our religion. They could have explained why Jesus submits to God, so they call off Muhammad a rapist. She did right.
Real quickly.
They call off Muhammad a rapist. Leave him alone. We can record. You can record. Thank you.
Did you call Muhammad a rapist?
I didn't use those words.
They interpreted it, which shows
Did you call Muhammad a rapist?
I said that the source says that he raped Zainab.
How could you call a
And
rapist a rapist? That's pretty messed up of you.
it wasn't because of anything that they claimed here, though. They were saying we couldn't explain why Jesus submits to God, so we called Prophet Muhammad a rapist. That is not how that conversation went at all. They said, show me one thing that Muhammad did wrong. And I didn't even just jump to like rape. I was like, you know, he married his adopted son's wife. He had them get divorced, then he married her. That's what I was focused on. And those sources then talk about how Muhammad entered her without permission. But that's how that kind of got to there. Nothing to do with Jesus. And even though they kept running their Dawa scripts and stuff, like they didn't actually seem to care about those things anyway. So it was dealing with Muhammad that their problem was. I just find it wild that he was like coming through with his phone like, they couldn't explain, so they called Prophet Muhammad a rapist. No.
But what's interesting is that's how they interpreted it on their own. That Muhammad raped her, which means is like, this is your own sources. You should not be getting mad at Elle. You should be getting mad on these sources. But here we have there. That just shows, yeah, I don't know. I just think Romans 1, they suppress the truth and unrighteousness.
Yeah, I mean, they had lots of perfectly good opportunities to be like, you know, I don't think that that's what the source means. I don't think that's what the source says. Or, you know, that's a really weak source. You know, I affirmed it, but it's fine. Like, I think this one, you know, maybe I should be more careful in the future before I affirm this. Nope, none of that. Just like they're being disrespectful.
No, because I talked to another... I talked to another Shia while you were talking to a woman. There was a guy that was there, and I was talking to him, and I brought that up to him, and he looked at me. He was really concerned. He was like, "That's Sunni sources. We don't affirm that. We don't affirm that." I was like, "Why didn't he say that this is Sunni sources that we don't affirm, and instead caused a riot?"
Yeah,
that
and they
if he just said that, yeah.
Nice.
They screamed at us and riled up the other Muslims. Then some started to storm off. But by that point, no matter how many times they acted like they were leaving, they had already incited the crowd to violence. Almost
right?
Dude,
it's like a comedy. It's like legit a comedy.
It never stops being about Jews in Israel out of nowhere.
To violence.
Look, I have Jewish friends. I have been around a lot of Israelis, Zionists. They usually talk significantly less about Israel than these Muslims. It's crazy, man.
Almost immediately, a Muslim man grabbed a power drill, utilizing it as a deadly weapon and making his intent clear.
So we have the exact same right to say what I said.
Then, without Sarah and I realizing it, the power drill exchanged hands.
Why are you guys coming at us like this?
And the enraged crowd of Muslim men continued returning repeatedly, seeking to cause more strife each time.
Instead of being disrespectful about my prophet, you guys should worry about all the killings and all the oppression around the world instead. That's our
And the Muslim man who had the drill next started walking towards us with it and pulled the trigger.
Our religion stands for, all right? Get that out of here. Our religion doesn't come from insults like how you insult.
And the drill was snuck into the crowd.
So let me tell you something.
And the crowd grew fast, and I called out for Sarah.
Instead of coming around insulting our prophet, you should come around and say.
This is crazy. So this is you, Elle. Where is Sarah here?
I'm in there in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah, Sarah's about to try to start coming to me, but she's kind of trapped in. It'll switch perspectives here in a second to where you'll see like her come in front of me and like actually put her arm in front of me to try to block the other dude. But this, yeah, like that crowd, like it is insane how fast that grew. There were like 40 something Muslim men that were surrounding us out of nowhere while these dudes are screaming at us.
Okay, so they're directly threatening you at this point, intimidating you, trying to rile up the crowds against you, coming with weapons against you. And all because they asked you, what did Muhammad do that was wrong? And you gave him an answer. And then they started creating a lynch mob against you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In my opinion, all of the people engaged in this and all of the people who agree with this should be collected and put into a truck, then taken to the closest place where they can be deported and never be allowed back in.
Guantanamo Bay.
Also for some
That's a bit
people, in
much.
case the comments follow over here, I've received some comments that are like, know when to dust your feet off. I get that. Like, there is a legitimate time and place to dust their feet off. Bear in mind, this is after we left. We left these people. We walked away. We started new conversations. These are our new conversations. Then they came to us. Like, yeah. Anyway.
This shouldn't be happening in America, man. This kind of stuff has been happening in Europe. Many places in Europe are far gone by now. This kind of stuff should not be happening in America. It's like, I mean, there was a time where I thought, oh yeah, America. No, not America. America is not like Europe, but America is allowing these things to happen as well, and it continues to grow. And stuff like this should not be happening. People who are here should be afraid to form lynch mobs, because you said something mean about their religion or their pedophile rapist prophet. And if they do this kind of stuff, they should be immediately removed. I don't care about the costs. Immediately remove them. Take them to the border, wherever it is. Throw them over the border, and that's it.
I want to comment on a comment that somebody said over here, and which is gonna go and correspond to what Elle just finished talking about. Like, why didn't you dust your feet? This is a response to Samantha. Samantha says Sara was right to leave and just argued her. Why did you stop the talk again? Leave that specific area, not just leave and stop talking to people and having conversations. That specific area you leave, because there's from all areas we would have been surrounded, and it would not have been wise for us to stay there. When we left, it was more open, as you can see. When we were before, it was very much closed off. And when it comes to dusting your feet off, why, if they're following us? If they're following us, we should continue talking to them. If they left us alone, we dust our feet off. No, we keep sharing the truth and exposing their religion and have them continue to act like this, so that other Muslims can see, the ones that have just 2 brain cells to rub together and realize this is wrong, question their religion, and leave and see what the Christians have to say.
Where are the police?
Everywhere.
Was there police inside? Was there police nearby here or anything?
I feel like there was a lot of Muslim police.
Yeah, there were Muslim police at the event. However, I find it very interesting that there are people caught on camera looking around very suspiciously as if they're looking for police as things are escalating. Like, very interestingly. Very interestingly.
You should come around.
See that one line that you said, but it causes one line. You don't say that about our prophet. We don't accept it. We don't care what you say.
It's one
line, look what it does. One line, look what it does.
One line, look what it does. You become savage, barbarian little animals. That's what the one line does. What does that one line do? Does the one line cause a fire, or does it cause you to act like lowly animals? I don't know.
Then the drill was snuck behind me, and the trigger was pulled. And the camera captured one of the Muslim men from before, desperately begging our Christian brother to get us to leave again.
What's the question? What's the question? Come on, go. So we said, come on, boy.
Seriously, I have to say, this takes a lot of nerves, a lot of guts, a lot of courage. So I must say this was a very brave act of both of you to go in there and do that. But next time you should go with more people to
I'm
protect you
going
and be
next
around
year
you.
too. Elle and I are going next year. Elle, you going
So-
next year?
I notice you don't
Lord
see,
willing.
notice you don't see Jay Dyer there.
I
So
will
God
say
bless you
though,
for doing that, and the protection of God, despite your mistaken beliefs, still that you did great work and God protects you here. So
So what do you mean? Elaborate what you mean by mistaken.
Yeah.
Elaborate. Say more. Say more words.
I already said what I said. Well,
he's saying we're pouring gasoline.
The Muslim man with the drill pulled the trigger harder right behind me. Then a Muslima called him. And the Muslima told him to stop.
I don't know if you could see the Muslim woman at the back. I thought about circling her in the video, and I actually did have it on screen, and then I deleted it before I exported because I didn't want to draw too much attention to her in case she has any lashback. But yeah, I don't know if you could hear her in that, but she called to the man with the power drill, and she was like, "Don't, please don't." And he's like,
Do you know what I noticed though after that? Please no, don't. Like, please no, don't. And then she smirked. It's like she was like, "Don't do it," but she was still acting like it was a game on her side.
Requested.
Well,
I
in
didn't
her
notice
body
that
is
the first couple of times.
I had no idea what was at stake, and the power drill was prepared right behind me as the man using it stepped closer. And multiple men stepped behind me, blocking my escape.
It got very sketchy very good.
I tried to get out of the crowd again. And another Muslim man from the crowd yelled,
It's all good, bro. Jesus is gonna take all our sins. Yeah.
"Do you understand why he said that?" I'm pretty sure I do. And I don't think it's just their sins. They were talking about getting taken away then. Even once we were in a slightly safer position, where it was much harder to get behind us without our knowing, the plotting didn't seem to end. While a Muslim told the crowd to calm down, one of the Muslims who was acting like a lookout kept asking me what the camera could capture.
You came here preaching the wrong things, baby. Don't come here preaching about killing.
It was extremely sketchy. We were still not safe.
Remember that.
The Lord
Preach about the children being murdered. Preach about all the injustice in the world.
Then he shouted over towards the Muslim with the drill.
I'm asking her if it's a 360 camera.
But then one of the Muslims from before stepped back in.
Yeah, it is. It is. They've been recording us for hours.
The lookout-looking dude went and told the others. Then the Muslim man with the drill stood there watching from a distance. He finally handed the drill off.
Not everyone's right. You have to follow what you guys want. You follow what we want. That's it. At the end of the day, we want you guys.
Then the Muslim he handed it to did this.
We respect you guys. But you guys follow someone, we follow someone. That's it.
Can you see those perfectly natural hand gestures with the drill in his hand to the other dude that people totally do on a regular basis?
yeah, they were just thinking about drilling into something or somebody. So.
Thought it should have been used on us? And the original Muslim who read what Al-Tabari said.
Again, with this whole thing being comedy, obviously this is like super dark, super evil stuff going on. But also, as these dudes are literally going like this, the one dude's doing that and the other, like showing drilling into a human being. One of the Muslims is saying, at the end of the day, we love you guys and we'll show you that. That's literally the audio you can hear from the Muslims in the background is the dude's doing that. And like earlier when the dude was pulling the trigger of the drill, walking towards us for the first time before the like mob formed, yeah, the one Muslim dude was screaming like, you should care about all the killings. And I was like, I do care about the killings, as this dude is literally walking up, pulling the trigger of what they've made clear they want to use as a deadly weapon. It's insanity. Just insanity.
About his false and moral prophet yelled,
Hey, wherever you guys go, I'll see you guys and I'll say what you guys said. If I follow you guys until you guys leave.
and even after several other Muslims intervened, he had to be escorted away by his friend Danny.
Hey, wait, tag me in this. Hey. Danny Shamas. My name is Danny Shamas. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
By the grace of God, conversations continued after that. But had it not been for the 360 camera or some other intervention, I don't know that we would have been capable of having them. I think it's highly likely God used.
Did you see this while you guys were there? Did you notice that the guy was walking toward you with this power drill, or did you only later on see this on the footage?
I'm gonna be when you walk into something like this, you learn, this is your first time, what you can do better next time. So I thought that my head was at a good 360 angle, like I was paying attention to what was going on with Elle, even with the other guy that was next to me before, that he was following me. My mind was making sure, like, okay, I'm going to talk to this person, but make sure that he's over there. But you realize, so when we were talking, when we initially left them from that small area, which is the area that right now it's like it brought back where Danny was saying what his name is. We leave, so we assume they're gonna leave us alone, right? Because they told us to leave, and that's what they did. They followed us. So there was a period of time when we're talking, all of a sudden they come towards us, and then they leave. I wish I kept my eyes on them to see what they were doing when they left. Hindsight being 2020, having them leave like that at one time and just leaving us alone talking was suspicious. I didn't expect all that to happen. I thought, okay, they're still mourning and doing their thing, because a lot of them were offended. This is not the time of place. You can't talk to us about these things. We're mourning. You don't understand. So I thought maybe they had that in their heads, and I didn't really notice until we watched before Elle came, and Elle showed me the 3D footage. And even the crowd that I was in, I did not realize it got that big. I had no idea. I was more focused on the Muslims over there, and I'm small. Okay, I'm not very tall. Elle is taller than me, so I can't really see that much. So I'm talking, and I see that, and I'm like, oh wow, lovely. This is what I was surrounded by. This is nice. I was more focused on the guy that was there standing next to me.
Yeah.
Not so much what was actually happening around me. And I'm like, well, here we are, Lord. What happened? And like literally the first thing that came to my mind after I hung up with Elle was, how many times did Paul get stoned and was shipwrecked again? Okay. We continue on.
Yeah, so for me personally, I saw the first two, at least to my knowledge, the first two times that from across the street, the first Muslim picked up the drill and went bang, bang at us with it. Now, of course, it's not a gun, so that wasn't actually effective in killing us, but it was effective in communicating his message, which was like, this is what I want to do to you. And obviously, a power drill can for sure cause like serious injury and death if it's gone into human organs. So I was keeping my eye on him from that point, or at least trying to keep my eye on him. Well, like I said, there's like over 40 people that start to surround us throughout this, but I didn't see right after that he did that the drill got passed off. So I was still keeping my eye on him, like, okay, he's somebody that I need to be aware of. Meanwhile, the drill is like over somewhere else. So then when the crowd starts getting big, I'm like, I'm not about to go into the crowd. So I try to get Sarah out of the crowd. And I'm like still watching this other guy, not realizing that the drill had actually made its way into the crowd with another person. And then certainly the way that I was standing, I was trying to see everything around me. But the way that the guy walked behind me was like apparently directly behind like where my hat is or whatever, as far as like not being able to fully see him. I did glance and look at his face at one point, but I didn't see the drill at his side when I had turned around, or there's no way that I would have continued to stand there. And it wasn't actually until the two guys came and blocked off my path out of the crowd after the Muslim woman was like, stop, please don't. That when the guy stepped behind me, I was like, no, I cannot be having people behind me, not realizing that dude had been like already positioning himself behind me. So it was actually them closing me off completely in this crowd, preparing for what was coming next, that I was able to get out of the crowd, because I realized the severe level of danger that it was escalating to. And it escalated like so fast at so many points. The number of times I moved myself out of the way of people because people kept like getting up on me and stuff, and the number of times I tried to pull out of a crowd and the crowd just kept reforming around us, it was insane. But yeah, it's super cool actually how the people trying to make it even more of a dangerous situation actually got me out of the situation. But even trying to get out of the crowd, when I turned around, that's when I like really realized like this is like really so much worse than I thought that it was. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad.
It was that
And then
bad.
going back on the footage and like hearing the things that people were saying to each other in the background this whole time while I had no clue. There's like tons of conversations that are all going on, and the camera's picking up a bunch of it, which is why the audio is hard to hear. I was hoping to like upload more of this footage, and I probably still will upload more of it at other points, but because there's so many different conversations happening in tandem, you kind of have to like know what you're listening to and just hone into that part. But yeah, like the one dude that kept trying to warn for like begging for us to leave, like I had no idea most of the things that he was saying, including like, boy, I asked my mama if this was a peaceful march. Like that was interesting to me. And also like saying like, please don't let this happen. Like he knew what was going on when we didn't have a clue what was going on. And he was begging for us to get out and to be safe. So shout out to the Muslims who did try to like intervene. Obviously Islam teaches evils and violence, but every single Muslim there, I would say, is far better than Muhammad was, far better than Muhammad commanded. It was far worse than we realized while we were in the situation, as far as the danger that we were in. And specifically when I repositioned, after I realized just like how much I was missing, I made it so that like you couldn't really get behind me unless you walked around the car, at which point I would probably notice, or you walked out of the house, at which point I'd probably notice, or you walked like up the sidewalk, either direction, because I was like, yeah, I cannot be having people get behind me. Like we are not doing this. That is not good. Not good.
The camera to save my life. Or maybe the Muslims who wanted to murder me showed self-restraint for other reasons, even if they didn't want to. Either way, I'm thankful. It's a blessing to still be alive and still proclaim the gospel of life to those that are perishing. I do appreciate anyone who tried to help save our lives as well, even without our knowledge. Most of what I do know about what was going on around me is because of what the camera captured. And I still haven't seen or heard all the footage yet. So who knows what else I'll hear and see when or if I do. Even though it's obviously not ideal that Muslims turned murderous during it, I'm still glad the Dawa dudes actually cared about something. Something that matters a lot. And I would have loved to show them more. I still would love to show them more. Because if Muhammad didn't demonstrate an excellent pattern of morality, as Quran 33:21 claims, And if Muhammad wasn't of great moral character, as Quran 68:4 claims, then Muhammad is a false prophet, the Islamic Allah is a false god, and Islam is a false religion. And frankly, all the other evidence also shows Muhammad is a false prophet.
It is totally based.
And the Islamic Allah is a false god. And Islam is a false religion. And yes, talking about the immorality of Muhammad came at the cost of other conversations. But they were ones those Muslims didn't even seem to care about anyway. And the outbursts of the enraged Muslims also drew in more to hear.
You guys have a bigger problem.
And the crowds did hear. And the gospel was shared. And other Muslims continued to discuss with us.
And live the perfect life and was crucified and resurrected, taking on the wages of sin for their faith and trust in Him, extending the offering of restored relations. He loves us so much because you're created in Somebody told us.
So, yes, taking extra security precautions seems to be important. Watching my back better also seems super important. But refraining from these types of conversations in the future isn't the solution.
I keep playing this video without interruption. I hope she doesn't copyright strike my channel or something.
Oh, she will.
Yeah.
It could actually cause a huge problem. Had I listened to those who said these topics were off limits or followed along with the Dawa dance, the one thing that actually mattered most to many of the Muslims would have remained unanswered, and their heart's concerns would have likely remained unaddressed. Likewise, had I merely started our
Not in the Zut sense.
conversations by proving the immorality of Muhammad, it's likely many of the other good conversations would have never happened to begin with either. And even that afternoon, I continued to have conversations with other Muslims about plenty of other things. But this is why understanding your audience is so important. And yet, this is an area of ministry so many people are either completely ignoring or confused about how to implement. So this is one of the things I've been trying to help people understand. In Matthew 10:16, Jesus said, "Behold, I am sending you out as sheep in the midst of wolves, so be wise as serpents and innocent as doves." And yes, we need to count the costs. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. As Joshua 24:15 says, I don't want to let Muslims pursuing my death stop me from proclaiming the way to eternal life for them. They need Jesus, the real Jesus, the one who made them, and the only one who can save them. We all need the true Jesus, the one who is the truth.
Christianity is based.
Let's pray. Lord God of heaven and earth and us, Yahweh, you are holy, holy, holy. Thank you for who you are and what you've done for us. Thank you for taking on the penalty of sin, which is death, and resurrecting and offering us the free gift of eternal life with you, reconciliation to you through your sacrifice. Thank you that even though we fall short of you and your glory, you have made a way to be both just and merciful and express your love in such an amazing way to us. Please help us to continue to express your love to those around us. And God, I pray for the Muslims who heard the gospel. I pray for the Muslims who are impacted by these outreaches. I pray for the Muslims who are caught up in anger over something that they've always been told and lied to about. That Muhammad was a prophet because he isn't. That Muhammad was moral because he wasn't. God, I pray for any of these things that are standing in the way of people receiving the gospel, that they will be crushed and crumble down. God, I pray that they will desire to seek you. And I praise you that when we seek you, we find you, when we seek you with all our heart. So thank you. Thank you for desiring us to pursue you. Thank you for calling us to you. God, I pray that truth will be sought and shared in us and through us for your glory. Amen.
Amen.
Want to learn more? Join me over here.
Yeah, you can join over there. I have already, by the way, linked the video in the description of this live stream. So everybody go and check it out. Subscribe to Elle. Subscribe also to Apostate of Allah. I think I didn't link the account in the description. I only linked the original video in the description. I will do that as we speak. That is Elle. Putting this in the description right now. And
hey,
Apostate
dirtbag,
of Allah
you should be
description
putting.
too.
Hey, you should be putting a link to their Patreons or whatever on there as well.
Why are you calling me a dirtbag? When you can just admit
I'm
the
just
truth?
saying, because you weren't going to do that. You're like, no, I only want people to fund what I do. When you're sitting there in your little nerd studio there, and they're out on the front lines in Dearborn, surrounded by jihadis, and it's good equipment that they have that is saving them, and that stuff is not free. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that sounds like a good point. I will take it into consideration. No, do you have a do you have your Patreon stuff listed on your? Oh yeah, you do. Okay, I see it now. I will do that. I will add all of that to the description, so everyone who wants to, who can, go and support Elle in what she does, and support Apostate of Allah in what she does, can find the links to all of that in the description of this video. So go and do.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
And shout out to everybody who hyped it, because y'all are awesome. I appreciate it. It's good to get this stuff out there and like people to actually see several things. One, that this stuff is happening within America, and I think most people don't really take this seriously yet. They don't really realize, like a lot of people think like, oh yeah, like there's Muslims somewhere else, but not really here. Like, why would I care? And first of all, you should care because everybody needs Jesus, as discussed. But also, they are standing in the way, or at least attempting to stand in the way, of even more people knowing Jesus and being able to share him and pulling all these sorts of stunts. And so I do think it's important to have the awareness of what's really going on. So thank you each for your help.
Well, if we're going to talk about support, I did set up a give, send, go, because I am feeling called to go ahead and go do more evangelism and stuff, and that does, and do more equipment and cameras and doing these things more full time. So I did set up a give, send, go. So if anybody were to give anything, that's where it would go to, those kinds of stuff, specifically those things. So if it
I'm
would
way
be
ahead
for
of
travel
you.
things.
Way ahead of you. I've already put the link in the description for your give, send, go. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
all right. But once again, thank you guys for the fantastic work that you do, going out there and doing all of these, presenting this stuff bravely to the Muslims. And I apologize on behalf of the Muslims that all you had to hear in response was Jews, 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 Israel, Israel, Jews, Jews, Israel, Israel, Jews, Jews, Israel,
But
Jews.
they heard the gospel. Like, one of my pet peeves, as somebody who left Islam and became a Christian, I was angry that nobody shared the gospel with me. Nobody told me the good news. I saw Christians. Christians told me Jesus loves you. Christians never told me why. So even though they acted the way that they acted, they heard the gospel. And that's the most important thing, no matter what. So they can go ahead and scream Jew, 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 Jew till their heads blow up, metaphorically speaking. It's a metaphorical matter, not literally. Hopefully leave Islam before you're led to do that. But that is what's important. I mean, like, what Muslim before they left Islam has not went out and said Jew, 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 Jew?
That's correct. Yeah, you're making a good point.
It is
Yeah.
a metaphysical matter.
I just wanted to point in defense of the Muslims who are screaming Jew, 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 Jew. If you open up the Quran and you're like, hey, what's wrong with this crazy religion here? It's all like Jew, 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 and the Jews and Christians too, but Jews.
That's correct.
So,
Paul
I thought it
says,
was super important when you went through the children of Israel passages in the Quran,
Yeah.
because I still think most people, like, it's another thing that they just don't know about and aren't aware of. Palestine this, Palestine that, but Allah says the children of Israel. So
the children of Israel. Paul says, when Muslims keep reciting Shema Israel, we should ask them if the Quran promotes two gods, Allah and Allah Subuh, his soul, his spirit. Yeah, his spirit. Yeah, it's kind of funny that one of them actually made a reference to the Shema, which they have no idea what it's actually about. Gapani Maki Studio says, I'm cursed. I have women fighting over me. Don't know which one to pick. That's good. Good for you. Zarkovich Rish says, if anyone was trying to start a military system, its sexual ethics would be exactly like Islam's. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. Bajanji says, guys, do you know about famous Indian ex-Muslim Sahil? Don't know much about it. Bazazar Course, Elle, can we please have some Silly J AI charity videos and a Silly J versus ChatGPT with
that's a good idea.
answers? God
Charity
bless you
videos.
all and your work.
Silly J charity videos.
I have both of those on my channel already. I have a Silly J charity video of her proving that it's not AI, guys. It's not AI, and you guys should definitely check that out. And then I also have a Silly J video where she asks ChatGPT who Allah is, according to all these Quran and Hadith passages, and that's quite interesting as well. I've also got some other Silly J shorts on my channel showing the perfect preservation of the Quran and that sort of thing.
Nice.
I can put those on the backstage if you want those.
Deep Badani says, guys, do you about Zafar Heretic? No. My fairy tale life, truth is haram in Islam. You see, this is the proof. I hope FBI HLS is noting these evil men. Sorry again to Sara and Elle for not being hyper observant while we were there. Nice. Obedience is key, says you girls need to train in Wing Chun. It's a very dangerous situation you were in. God bless you all. Martial arts would be good, but I don't think it's very helpful against a huge crowd of a lynch mob.
Wing Chun, come on.
Wing Chun. It's a very good. It's a very, very good technique, man. It's a very good discipline. How dare you insult the best form of martial arts?
The only thing that works in big groups like that is ching ching pow. Ching ching pow. No, just kidding.
Sludge collapse. No one can save even Allah Momo. Yeah. New Fed will apply to get Second Amendment privileges back. David Wood. Can you do that? David, you should try it. Unique Pets, I hope this sisters motivate us to proclaim gospel. Yes, I pray that you do. All right, everybody, anything else? Anything else, y'all? No?
I would encourage people to go out and share the gospel for themselves. Don't just like watch people do it. Go do it yourself.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Very
that.
important.
And if you see a Muslim, like, share the gospel with them. Don't see these things and be afraid of it. Like, they need to hear the gospel. They are on their way to hell. Like, as they stand, see, how can you see somebody as a Christian who has the Holy Spirit that bears the name of Christ, see somebody that has the wrath of God on them? You've tasted the goodness of God. How can you not share the good news with them in hopes that they would come to faith? So don't be afraid of, I can't take them. What will they say to me? I mean, like, you don't. So what? Even Paul said he doesn't know he doesn't come with fancy speech, and all he knows is Jesus Christ and him crucified. Just approach them and share the gospel with them. Don't.
That's also.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. What you gotta say?
No, I was just gonna say that's also the solution to like all of these problems. Christ is the solution to this this violence. Christ is the solution to Sharia law. Christ is the solution to what we see going wrong in America, whether it's with Islam or with other things, and even across the world. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. All right. I'm going to redirect everybody here after this to our friend Nick Matao's channel, because he's currently having a debate.
He's live at midnight.
Yeah. I can't redirect people to that channel. Redirect privilege is needed. Ask Nick Matao to give permission. He doesn't know how rating works, man. Anyway, bad luck for Nick Matao. But anyone who wants to watch a good debate, go to Nick Matao. Nick Matao, he's live right now debating the topic of the Charlie Kirk assassination, and he will do a good job. So everybody go over to Nick Matao. That said, once again, thank you, Elle and Apostate of Allah. And thank you everybody for being here, for watching. No thanks to David. And God bless you all, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And as always,
stay away from Islam.
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 Stay away from Islam. Stay away from Islam.
Stay away from Islam.
Stay away from Islam.